She stood there smiling, but her eyes told a completely different story. As the applause kept going, Olivia Wilde tried to hold it together. Then it hit her. She wiped her eyes, took a breath, and looked out at a room on its feet, not politely clapping, not waiting for the moment to end. A full standing ovation. At Sundance, for a film almost no one knew what to expect. This wasn't just another premiere, and it definitely wasn't just about a comedy. Because just a few years ago, Olivia Wilde was one of the most talked about names in Hollywood for all the wrong reasons. Online backlash, endless headlines, people questioning her talent, her choices, and whether she should even be directing at this level. And now, suddenly, the same industry that once seemed eager to tear her apart was cheering her on. The movie? A quiet, risky marital comedy with only 4 characters. No flashy twists. No big set pieces. Just uncomfortable conversations, buried resentment, and laughter that slowly turns into something darker. Not exactly the kind of film you'd expect to bring a festival crowd to its feet. But as critics rushed to praise it, something became clear. This wasn't luck, and it wasn't a sympathy clap. Some reviewers went as far as saying this film could finally silence her doubters. Others called it immersive, surprising, and emotionally brutal in ways no one saw coming. And then there was a cast, Seth Rogen, Edward Norton, and Penelope Cruz, openly admitting that this project almost didn't happen the way it did, because Wilde herself didn't even want to be in it. So what changed? What happened behind closed doors that turned a small dinner party comedy into one of Sundance's most talked about premieres? And why are so many people saying this moment feels like more than just a successful film, but a quiet, undeniable comeback? Because the real story doesn't start on that stage. It starts long before the applause ever began. The room didn't explode right away. For a brief moment after the credits rolled, there was silence, the kind that hangs heavy, where no one is quite sure what they just watched. Then someone stood up, then another, and within seconds, the entire theater followed. Olivia Wilde looked stunned. She turned toward her cast, then back to the crowd, clearly trying to process what was happening. This wasn't a polite festival reaction. This was sustained applause, loud enough to drown out any lingering doubt. People weren't just clapping to the film. They were responding to something that hit close to home. As the ovation continued, Wilde's composure cracked. She wiped away tears, laughed it off, then took a breath as if to steady herself. For a director who spent years being scrutinized, second-guessed, and openly criticized, this moment carried weight. This was a dream, she told the audience, her voice still catching. To premiere the film here, in this room, with this reaction, it was exactly what she'd hoped for, even if she hadn't fully allowed herself to believe it would happen. Festival director Kim Utani didn't hold back either. She called the ovation well-deserved, reinforcing what the crowd was already saying without words. This film had landed, but what made the moment even more striking was the contrast. Sundance audiences are known for being tough. They don't stand unless they mean it, and they definitely don't stay standing unless something truly connects. Wilde wasn't just being celebrated as a director. She was being acknowledged as a storyteller who took a risk and pulled it off. And as the applause finally began to fade, one thing was clear. This reaction wasn't about hype. It was about recognition. And that set the stage for a much bigger conversation about why this film, of all films, struck such a powerful nerve. On paper, the invite shouldn't have worked at all. There are no sweeping locations, no dramatic twists, and no larger-than-life spectacle. The entire story unfolds around a single dinner party inside one apartment, with just 4 people in the room. That's it. Olivia Wilde and Seth Rogen play the hosts, a married couple quietly coming apart at the seams. Upstairs live Penelope Cruz and Edward Norton, a free-spirited pair who seem effortlessly confident, relaxed, and emotionally untouchable. When the two couples come together for drinks, what starts as polite conversation slowly turns uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. The film doesn't rush to chaos. It lets tension simmer. Awkward pauses stretch. Jokes land, but they sting. Compliments feel loaded. And every smile hides something unsaid. That's the risk Wilde took. She trusted the audience to stay with the discomfort instead of chasing easy laughs. and she trusted 4 actors to carry an entire film using nothing but dialogue, timing, and emotional precision. It's the kind of setup that can fall apart fast. One wrong note and it becomes boring, stagey, or forgettable. But instead, viewers found themselves locked in, watching a slow unraveling of insecurity, jealousy, and quiet resentment that felt painfully familiar. And by the time the night spirals out of control, you realize something unsettling. This isn't just a comedy. It's a mirror. And that's when the real conversations begin. The reaction didn't stop when the lights came up. Almost immediately, critics started weighing in, and the tone was impossible to ignore. This wasn't cautious praise or polite approval. It was excitement, the kind that spreads fast. One major outlet described the film as watching disaster unfold in real time, calling it a brutally honest hangout that keeps surprising you when you least expect it. Another praised how effortlessly it balances sharp humor with emotional damage, never letting the laughs soften the impact. Several reviewers pointed out the same thing. Wilde knows exactly what she's doing. Every pause feels intentional. Every joke lands for a reason. And every uncomfortable moment pushes the story forward instead of slowing it down. Some critics even urged audiences not to overthink it. Just accept the invite and do it fast. Others went further, calling the film marvelously entertaining, saying it pulls you in so completely that you forget you're watching something so small in scale. No distractions, no escape, just 4 people unraveling in front of you. But the most telling praise wasn't about the script or the performances. It was about Wilde herself. After years of debate over her abilities behind the camera, multiple outlets openly suggested this film should end the conversation altogether. Not because it's loud, but because it's confident. And that confidence is what made people start asking a much bigger question about how this film came to be. To understand why this moment feels so loaded, you have to look at what came before it. In recent years, Olivia Wilde's name stopped being about the work. Headlines got louder than the films. Online debate spiraled. Every decision she made, on set or off, was picked apart, often harshly. And whether fair or not, a narrative started to form. Some people questioned her leadership. Others doubted her instincts as a director. A few even suggested her success had more to do with timing than talent. It's been said that after Don't Worry, Darling, the scrutiny reached a different level. The film itself was almost overshadowed by speculation, tension rumors, and non-stop commentary. For Wilde, the noise became impossible to ignore. That's why the reaction to The Invite hit differently. One major industry outlet flat out wrote that this film should silence the doubters, not as a comeback headline, but as a quiet, undeniable answer. No drama, no spectacle, just proof on screen. What's striking is that Wilde didn't respond with something bigger or safer. She went smaller, more personal, more exposed, and in doing so, she shifted the conversation. Because when the work speaks this clearly, the noise fades. But behind that calm confidence, something very different was happening during production. What most people didn't see was how differently this film was made. Instead of rushing into production, Wilde slowed everything down. The cast didn't just show up and read lines. They rehearsed. A lot. For weeks. The 4 actors sat together in a soundstage with the writers, tearing the script apart and putting it back together. Scenes were questioned. Jokes were tested. Awkward moments were pushed further. And then came another unusual choice. The film was shot in chronological order. That might not sound like a big deal, but in filmmaking, it almost never happens. It meant the tension between the characters wasn't manufactured. It built naturally. Each scene carried the emotional weight of the one before it. On top of that, Wilde encouraged improvisation. The cast was given room to explore, to interrupt each other, to make moments feel messy and real. Some of the funniest lines in the movie weren't in the original script at all. Even Seth Rogen later admitted he was shocked by how much of their improvised material made it into the final cut. This wasn't about control. It was about trust. Trust in the actors, trust in the process, and trust that audiences would feel the difference. And that creative freedom led to a decision that nearly changed the entire film. The decision that almost didn't happen? Olivia Wilde starring in her own film. Believe it or not, When the project first began, Wilde had no intention of acting in the invite. She wanted to focus entirely on directing. Seth Rogen and Edward Norton were on board, but suddenly a new challenge emerged. Who would play her role? Rogen later revealed that he and Norton were texting each other, trying to figure out how to convince her. Wilde kept sending them other names, suggesting other actors. Everyone knew she would be perfect, yet she resisted. Why are you doing this? What exercise are we doing here? Rogen laughed, recalling their frustration. Eventually, Wilde relented. She agreed to step in, and the film changed completely. The energy on set shifted. Chemistry that could only exist when the director herself inhabits the role became undeniable. Norton called her performance grace and wisdom in multiple dimensions, praising how she led the cast without ever creating pressure. It wasn't just about talent. It was about courage. Taking on a role in a small, intense, emotionally charged film is risky for any actor, but for a director who would just face years of public scrutiny, it was a bold, almost vulnerable choice. And that choice? It's what allowed the film to reach the emotional heights that left audiences on their feet at Sundance. Without her in front of the camera, the night might have been completely different. For Olivia Wilde, the standing ovation was about more than just a successful premiere. It was deeply personal. Edward Norton praised her approach, marveling at how she juggled directing and performing without ever creating stress on set. "Where's the difficulty?" he said, incredulous. The cast thrived under her guidance, improvising lines and building moments that made the film feel alive, intimate, and unpredictable. Even Seth Rogen admitted that the energy shifted entirely once Wilde decided to step in as a lead. Fans online have been buzzing, speculating that this could be her career reset. Some call it a quiet triumph, others a personal victory for someone who endured years of scrutiny. Whatever the interpretation, one thing is clear. The audience, critics, and cast all witness a filmmaker at the top of her game, fully in control and fully human. In that applause, Wilde wasn't just celebrated as a director or actor, she was celebrated as someone who risked everything and made it work. And that makes The Invite far more than just a comedy. It's a testament to resilience, trust, and artistry. The timing of The Invite's premiere added another layer to its impact. This was the last Sundance Film Festival held in Park City before the festival moves to Boulder, Colorado in 2027. It was also the first edition after the passing of Robert Redford, the festival's legendary founder. That context gave every standing ovation, every cheer, and every emotional reaction a historical weight. For Wilde, it wasn't just about her film, it was about being part of a defining moment in cinema history. Premiering at Sundance is already a milestone for any filmmaker. But doing so under these circumstances, with critics, peers, and audiences all watching closely, turned the event into a kind of validation. It wasn't just applause for The Invite. It was recognition of Wilde's talent, her perseverance, and her ability to create something intimate and universal at the same time. For the audience, the small, intense setup of the film made the emotional highs feel even more powerful. For characters, one apartment, endless tension, and yet every laugh and every awkward pause resonated far beyond the screen. By the time the credits rolled and the standing ovation continued, it was clear Olivia Wilde had done more than direct a successful film. She had claimed her place in Hollywood on her own terms, earning respect, admiration, and perhaps a sense of closure that had eluded her for years. And that's the story behind Olivia Wilde's unforgettable night at Sundance. From nearly skipping the role to earning a standing ovation, The Invite proves she's not just surviving in Hollywood, she's thriving. What do you think? Could this be the star of Olivia Wilde's ultimate comeback? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more insider stories from Hollywood. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. We got plenty more surprising Hollywood stories coming your way.